Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome everyone. On this video, we're gonna try to cover these points on Packet Tracer. So first we want to talk about the differences between hubs, switches and routers. Okay, this is gonna be your Packet Tracer. You click on network devices and then here you can see the hubs, switches and routers. So let's start with hubs. A hub is a really basic network device that broadcasts data. It's fine if you don't know what broadcasts means because we're going to see it now. So I'm going on end devices. End devices are these. And to spam or to print one device multiple times, you need to use control. And then click on it. You hold the control and then you click on it. That's 1, 2, 3. Then you go on escape to stop the printing. Anyways, and when it comes to connections or cabling, there are like two general cables you can use. The first is straight through, the second is crossover. Just to like understand really quick, straight through is meant to be used on different devices. Like if I want to connect a hub to a PC, I would use straight through. And if I want to connect a PC to a PC, I have to use crossover. A switch to a switch, crossover. A router to a router, crossover. If it's the same device, I need to use crossover. If it's a different device, I use straight through. All right, so I'm just gonna remove this because that's not what we want. All right, I'm gonna press Control again so I don't need to click on it again. And here I'm connecting it to fast Ethernet ports. All right, it doesn't matter. You can connect it to any Ethernet, any interface or port for that matter. So there is like an important setting here. You might not have it, which is the interfaces. It's not useful right now. We don't really need it, but in general, it's good to know. You click on options, preferences, and then you click here, always show port label in logical workspace. So for now, I don't really need it, so I'll remove it so it's clearer for us to understand. Okay, so what's the process that we want to understand about hubs? So what's gonna happen here is this. We want to send a message or a ping from here to here. And we want to see the behavior of a hub and what it does. All right. But before that, we need to put IP addresses on devices and subnet masks. So I'm just going to use like basic IP address. I think I was really fast. So you click on it, then you go desktop, then you go IP configurations. All right. I'm just going to go with 10.0.0.0.1. You can't use 0 because it's broadcast. And the subnet mask, it's kind of automated here. And sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not. At this case, it's fine. All right, on this device, I will go to desktop. Here again, 10.0.0.2. And then, yeah. And here I will go to 10.0.0.3. And we're good to go. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is I want to send a message from here to here. See, it says successful, but let's click on simulation. Let's see how the process goes. It went from 15 to the hub. And then let's see how the hub behaves. It's sending the same message to all devices. So this guy here got the message. And now this is the acknowledgement. And let's see, it sent the answer or the acknowledgement to all devices as well. So what do we conclude here? This device, which is the hub, is not the best. Why? Because if it's gonna send the message to everybody, that means it's gonna create traffic, and the traffic will make the network slow. That's why it's a slow device. Also, there is something called duplex, and this device is half duplex, which means it either sends or receives data. it can't do both at the same time. All right. So hubs are fine on basic networks, but they are not efficient enough. Also, this ruins the privacy. If I'm sending a secret message to 16 and the message is going to 17, I have no secrets, I have no privacy. So we're done with the hubs. And now let's move to switches and let's see how they behave. So I'm going to take a switch PT or PT switch, and then let's go with the computers. Again, we press Control. Now I have 3 PCs, and then we go to connections. We take our, what do you call it? See, wait, no, look, straight through. And then we start connecting. 1, 2, 3. And we can't start sending or receiving anything before this is green and before configuring the end devices. So I can put it on real time and click fast forward. It's gonna fast it up a little bit, and then I can go back to simulation. All right, the same process. We go to desktop, IP configuration, and I'll go, for example, with 20.0.0.1. I can just copy it for efficiency. And here I'll go with 2, as you know, like you can't duplicate IP addresses because it will not work. And here 3. Cool. Just gonna delete any messages. And now let's see how it will behave from 21 to 22. Go. Interesting. So the switch is behaving like the hub. It broadcasted the message and it did not broadcast the acknowledgement. Why? Let's see. Now it's still in the process of sending the message. It broadcasted the first one for a reason, which is to learn the MAC address of the devices that are connected. So the first time the switch works, it sends messages to all devices. But let's see the next time we send. So from PC21 to PC22. Let's see how it works. See? It did not broadcast. If I want a specific device, I will get to a specific device. That's how a switch works. Cool. Let's see now what's our next point. Okay, we're going to talk about routers. Amazing. I'm just gonna delete these and let's see how things work when it comes to routers. So we just go to network devices and we pick routers and we go to router PT. We put one router here. And then let's see, I want to have PCs. We're just gonna use the same cabling, fast Ethernet. Wait, why is this red? Okay, remember the trick we talked about? Options, preferences. I don't know if it's a trick. The point we talked about. Always show port labels. Okay, so routers are a bit different because you need to turn on the interfaces. So I'll go to the configuration and I'll go to 00, fast Ethernet 00. I'll click on, and here fast Ethernet 10, I'll also click on. It's still not working. Why? Because I'm not using the correct cable or the correct connection. So I need to use something else. Routers are an exception. If I'm going to connect an end device to a router, I need to use, let's see the name, crossover. I can't use straight through, right? So let's see how it works. let's say for example 10.0.0.1, and here is the job of a router, or how routers work. I don't need this for now. So routers, they connect multiple networks, which means each port or each interface on a router creates a separate network. So here is a network and here is a network. What does that mean? If I have, let's say, we said 10.0.0.1, and here I will need to go something else, something like 12.0.0.1, and I will send a message. Let me just delete the current one from here to here. It will never work. See? Like it's just not working. If I send it, I don't know, wait, I wanted it to go on real time. Yeah, it will always fail. Why? Even, okay, let's go crazy and do this. 10.0.0.2. And we send from here to here. It will never work. Why? Because since this is a network and this is a network, what's gonna happen is we need a routing protocol for them to work. That's not something we're gonna discuss now. We're gonna talk about other things as for this video, but it's important to understand this. All right. And another side note here, it's not recommended to connect end devices to routers immediately or directly. You need something in between. Why? Because if I do this, let's say that I need like 10 PCs connected. I'm gonna need 10 ports on the router. But instead, what's more efficient is to put a hub or a switch. Usually people, they use switches because they are more efficient, and you just go network devices and you go to the switch. As we know, just put your switch here. All right. And then we're gonna start connecting. And again, here, since they're different devices, I can use, or I should use, straight through. Ooh, where is it? Okay, kinda bugged a bit. All right. And here I can put as many end devices as I want, because it's not gonna consume or use ports in the router. All right, let's go with 3, and then we can connect like the norm. Don't forget to press Control so you can spam as many as you want, then press Escape. All right, but what do we understand when we look at this? This side is a network within this router. So if I put another cable here, it's gonna create another network with different IP addresses and so on. All right. So let's start with the router and let's dive into the depth of understanding what a router is in terms of CLI. All right. So when you open it, this is the physical, this is the config, and here is the CLI. This is the first message you're gonna get, and usually like don't even waste time reading. Oh my god, like it already skipped it. But usually just say no. Okay, when you get an error like this, the solution is here. You press Control Shift and 6. It unstuck you from it. Okay. So yeah, here it's the user exec mode, or user exec because it stands for executive. And here is how we understand it. So routers usually have 3 modes. The first one is, it looks like this. The access is quite limited, and the primary use is basic monitoring and diagnostics. While the next one is with the hash. Let's see how it works. How do we go there? We type enable. Now we are in the hash, and it's advanced. It's called privileged XEC mode, and Its a primary use is troubleshooting and access to configuration. So here I can apply some configurations, sorry, like I can ping or I can type show and so on. Like I can ping anything, but you know, it will not work because we did not configure the network. Yeah, and to skip this again, Control-Shift-6 just to move out from the process. All right, and last one is this. It's called Global Config Mode, and it gives us full configuration. So we have full access. How do we access it? I type configure terminal. And here I am in the global mode. It's a primary use, device-wide configuration changes. So I can access multiple things, wide stuff. But here's the thing. Many commands, when I want to apply them, I need to type the word do before doing them. For example, if I want to save, I'll type do WR. But let's say I am in the hash, the router hash, I will just type WR. See? Again, configure terminal. Maybe you didn't notice. If you want to leave it, you just type EX or exit. That's how you leave it. Anyways, again, configure terminal. Any command, I mean, most of them, basically, you need to type do before, like do ping, do show, you know? Yeah, it asks me for IP and stuff, but yeah, that's not important. So that's it for, you know, the modes of the router. All right, now let's start configuring the network we have. So what do I have here? I have interface F00. So I want to go inside the router and configure it so it can communicate with the rest of the network after configuring the network as well. So how do we do it? I'm just going to leave it entirely, exit. I'm now in the user. I'm just going to type enable configure terminal, and then I will type interface F00. I misspelled it, interface F00, or you can just type int F00, both work because, or you can also type int, then you press tab, it will automatically finish it for you. All right, first thing you should do is you type no shutdown to turn it on. See, it turned green immediately. To get this one green, you just need to fast forward, and then we start putting the IP address. The network I want to use here is 10.0.0.0. All right, it's conventionally like agreed on to put the first IP of the network on the router. What do I mean by that? So this is the network. What's the first IP? It's going to be 10.0.0.1. This is the first, because you can't use the network itself as an IP. You add one to use it. So here I'm going to use the first one. It's going to be IP address 10.0.0.0.1. Then the subnet mask is going to be 255.0.0.0. Here we go. And another important note is the network, the IP address you put in the router, it's going to be the default gateway. It doesn't matter what number you put, the number in the router or the IP in the router, it is the default gateway. All right. Now I'm going to put IP addresses in these devices. So, and it has to be within this range. 10.0.0, for example, 10. And here it's going to be 10.0.0.1, since it is the default gateway. Cool. And here I'm going to do the same process. But make sure you don't duplicate. So I'm going to use a 20 here. And here, copy 1, the default gateway. And the same thing here as well. 10.0.0.0.30, since it's the third one. Just going to copy this and put 1. Let's see. I'm going to send from here to here. It's successful. And we know that we don't need the default gateway to receive, like, for it to be successful. Why do we need the default gateway? my teacher told me that you should imagine it, or my doctor, he told me that you should imagine it as the airport. So all of these people or devices, they live in the same country. But if they want to travel, to go to other networks, they have to go through what? The default gateway. So the default gateway is the airport for the network. So if you want to leave, you have to leave through the default gateway. Make sense? Yeah. What else do we have? Yeah, I just want to go around some other basic configurations in the router. For example, we have I'm going to the config by exiting. Do show IP interface brief. What does this mean? Like, it's a really straightforward code, and it will just show us or declare all the interfaces within the router. So if I press enter, it's gonna show me all the interfaces and their status. So for example, this one, I'm just gonna put it on yellow. It's unassigned. It's where is it? It says unset, down, and so on. Like, this one is like 10.0.0.1, and this one is up. And there's another important one, which is do show run. It will show me everything that's put in the router. If I put a password, if I put VPN, if I put anything, if I put like routing protocol, like anything that's possibly added to the router is gonna be shown here. It will also show the interfaces too. Yeah, as we can see. All right. What else do we have? I think we covered most points, but I want to add one last thing to the video. So yeah, if I want to, for example, add a router and put it here, okay? What cable am I gonna need to use? Yes, correct. I'm gonna have to use crossover. I'm gonna click here, fast Ethernet. I'm gonna click here, fast Ethernet. And here, we just created a new network. So this is a network, and this is a network. Why? Because as we said, every port we put or we connect to in a router immediately creates a new network, because a router connects multiple networks. It separates networks, basically. All right, so here I need to configure it. Let's just practice it. I will go to interface F10. First thing, no shutdown. Nice. Okay, you can go with no shut, it's the same. But something to notice here, it's not up yet. Why? Because when it's connected to two routers, you need to turn up the both interfaces. All right, so I'm going to go here, and as I told you, just type no, enable configure terminal, interface F00, I'll type no shutdown. Boom, it's up. Cool. What do we have to do now? I'll go to this router again, router now 1. Sorry if I'm jumping and it's confusing, but you will get it, that's fine. So I am in, what do you call it? F10, I typed it here. So let's go with something like, I don't know, like 30.0.0. That's the network we have here. And then I'm just gonna type IP address 30.0.0.1, for example, 255.0.0.0. And then I'll go to the other one and do the same. I'm just gonna type, I'm already inside it, so IP address 30.0.0.2, 255.0.0.0. Okay, what does this do? Now these routers, they can communicate. I'm just gonna double click it because it takes some time to realize what's going on. But what's gonna happen here is router 2 sees router 1 and it can communicate with it. But can router 2 communicate with PCs here? No. Why? Because these PCs are in a separate network. They have nothing in common with this guy. And there we're gonna need routing protocol with O, not A. I know I wrote it earlier with A. Yeah. Such as rep or egrep or OSPF and some other cool stuff. But I think that's enough for this video. And I think we covered a good amount of points. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And thank you so much for watching if you reached this.